Her brother is the one with real potential. Those words weren't whispered. They weren't said quietly in a moment of exhaustion. They were pronounced with absolute certainty, almost pride, as if my parents had been waiting years to finally say them out loud. I wasn't supposed to hear them, but I did, and in that moment something inside me shattered. If your parents looked you dead in the eyes and implied that your existence was nothing more than a placeholder, tell me honestly, would you still try to please them? Because in that moment, I asked myself a question I had never asked before. What if I stopped trying to earn their love? Was I wrong for everything I did after that moment, or did I do the only thing I could to survive? I didn't start out angry. I didn't start out resentful. I started out hopeful, like every kid does. I believed if I worked hard enough, loved deeply enough, or tried consistently enough, eventually they would notice me. Eventually they would say, "We're proud of you." But instead, year after year, I watched that sentence land only on one person, my younger brother, Alex. I was the older sibling, the responsible one, the one who followed every rule. Alex was the spontaneous one, the golden child, the one they saw as special. I didn't mind being the responsible one. I didn't even mind that he was the favorite, not at first. But what I did mind was becoming invisible. I minded that I could have screamed and no one would have flinched. I still remember one of the earliest moments it became obvious. I was 10. I had spent months learning a complicated piano piece for the school recital. I practiced every morning before school, every afternoon after homework, and every night before bed. My fingers were sore for weeks, but I didn't care. I imagined my parents in the audience cheering, filming, smiling proudly as I performed. I imagined them telling relatives about it later, maybe even framing a picture of me on stage. The night of the recital came. I wore a navy dress my grandmother bought me the year before. I stood backstage, holding my sheet music, looking through the curtain to see the families gathering. Kids waved to their parents. Parents waved back with cameras. A few moms even held flowers. I scanned the crowd for my parents. They weren't there. My name was called. I performed anyway, trying not to let the tears blur the keys. When it was over, I stood alone as other kids ran to their families. Still no parents. I took the bus home in silence. When I walked into the house, they were sitting on the couch eating takeout. We couldn't make it, my mom said casually while scrolling on her phone. Alex had little league practice. Little league practice, not a game, not a championship practice. My piano recital was a one-time event. His practice happened every week. But what hurt more than their absence was their indifference. I stood there, still holding the sheet music, frozen. My dad glanced at Alex and said, "Good job out there, buddy. You're really going somewhere." Then my mom turned to me and said, "We'll catch the next one." There wasn't a next one. I never touched a piano key again. That was the first time I realized love in my house wasn't a shared resource. It wasn't given freely. It was awarded. Alex earned it by simply existing. I earned nothing, no matter how hard I worked. As years passed, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Alex would bring home a stick, figure drawing, and they praised him like he'd painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. I brought home a science fair trophy, and they dismissed it with, "That's nice," before turning to ask Alex if he wanted pizza. I kept telling myself, maybe next time. But next time never came. I became the default helper, the built-in babysitter, the household assistant. My parents never asked me how my day was. They asked me what I could do for Alex. Take him to practice, help him with homework, clean his room, cover for him. And if I ever hesitated, they wielded their favorite line like a weapon. "Don't hold Alex back. He has real potential." Real potential. As if I had none, as if I was born useless. One night in high school, I was finally invited to something social. My friend Zoe's birthday dinner. I barely got invited anywhere because I spent so much time cleaning up after Alex and driving him everywhere. I did my hair, put on a cute outfit, grabbed my bag, and came downstairs. I felt, just for a second, like a normal teenager. My mom blocked my way. "Where are you going?" "To Zoe's party." I answered, "I told you last week." "Well, Alex needs a ride to practice. He can take the bus," I said quietly. My dad chimed in, irritated. He shouldn't be walking. He has a game this Saturday. You can go some other time. I stood there speechless. They didn't ask, they decided. My plans, my feelings didn't matter. I drove Alex to practice while my friends laughed and ate cake without me. That night, lying in bed, something changed. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was empty. I stared at the ceiling and wondered what it would feel like to be someone's first choice. By the time I reached my junior year, I had stopped trying to please them. I focused on school because it was the only thing I had control over. And I was good at it, really good. Top grades, honor roll, volunteering, tutoring, extracurriculars, part-time job. I was building a future, but then college season arrived. And that's when everything exploded. I worked my butt off on applications. Nobody helped me, not financially, not emotionally, not academically. I filled out forms alone. I wrote essays late at night. I met with teachers for letters of recommendation. I researched scholarships by myself. My parents didn't ask once about my progress. But when Alex started applying, suddenly, our dining room transformed into a war room. My mom bought planners, whiteboards, highlighters. My dad scheduled meetings with counselors. They hired a private college consultant for Alex, not me. Alex wrote essays about football and teamwork cliches. Meanwhile, I poured my whole life story into mine. I wrote about invisibility, about perseverance, about how I learned to be my own cheerleader. When the acceptance email came, I nearly collapsed. Top university, full scholarship. I sprinted downstairs, holding my phone like a lifeline. Mom, Dad, guess what? We have news too. My mom interrupted. Alex made varsity. They hugged him, they high-fived him, they celebrated. I stood there, holding the acceptance letter no one cared about. I walked out the front door, sat in my car, and cried harder than I ever had. I wasn't crying because they didn't care. I was crying because I finally understood they never would. 1 week later, I overheard them talking. They didn't know I was home. They didn't know I was standing just outside the living room. We can't afford college for both kids, my dad said. My mom sighed. Well, the decision is obvious. Then she said it. Alex is the one with real potential. She can take out loans. She'll manage. They weren't just neglecting me anymore. They were actively choosing to sabotage my future. That's when everything inside me snapped. I wasn't invisible. They wanted me erased. I stood there numb, listening to them discuss how they would fund Alex's education using money they promised was saved for both of us. They didn't just choose him, they discarded me. At school, my guidance counselor suggested I attend a scholarship recognition event. I wasn't planning to go. My parents clearly didn't care, but the counselor convinced me. You earned this, she said. So I went, alone. That night, something unexpected happened. A university representative spoke to me personally, congratulating me on the scholarship and offering me a campus job opportunity. I felt valued, seen, like someone finally recognized what I'd been fighting for all these years. When I got home that night, I overheard another conversation, this one darker. We should use her scholarship money to help Alex, my mom whispered. We can redirect the savings to his tuition. She doesn't need it. My own college fund, the one given to both children by my grandparents, was being stolen from me. And in that moment, I realized something crystal clear. They didn't just prefer Alex. They wanted to erase me. That's when I made a decision. If they were ready to cut me out, I would beat them to it. So before I tell you what I did next, the part where everything changes, the part no one in my family saw coming, I need to ask you something. If you heard your parents saying your sibling is only one with real potential, and they plan to steal your future to invest in theirs, what would you do? Would you stay quiet? Would you forgive? Or would you fight back? Pause for a second. Really think about it. Drop your answer in the comments, because what I did next didn't just shock them. It destroyed the control they held over my life. I didn't sleep the night I heard them planning to take my college fund. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, not crying, not angry, just numb. I realized something that night. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones you have to protect yourself from. My entire life, I believed if I kept trying, if I kept being patient, if I kept working harder, Eventually they would choose me. But that night, the illusion died. They weren't choosing Alex because he needed support. They chose Alex because emotionally, financially, and mentally, he was an investment to them. I was a backup generator that was expected to keep running until I burned out. And I was done. The next morning, I went to school early and asked to meet with the scholarship advisor and financial aid office. I explained everything, not emotionally, not dramatically, just the facts. My parents intended to take the money that was legally mine and use it for my brother. The university staff listened with a kind of stunned silence. And then the financial aid director said something that became the beginning of my freedom. Legally, they have no access to your personal scholarship funds. And if your college fund was gifted to you, there are protections. They helped me initiate processes that transferred every financial document, notification, and access into my name only. They set up private communication channels, my personal email, my own security passwords, mailing address limited to the school. You need to protect yourself, my counselor said. People who try to control you financially try to control you emotionally. Hearing that from a stranger felt like validation. I had been waiting for my entire life. I left campus with a folder containing everything I needed: legal instructions, scholarship forms, and documentation proving the college savings account had been gifted to me by my grandparents and not to my parents, meaning they had no legal right to touch it. That night, I made my move. I sat at my laptop and transferred the college fund into a student trust account the bank representative helped me set up earlier. Every penny moved into an account only I could access. The moment I hit confirm, I didn't feel guilt. I felt oxygen. A week later, I received the acceptance package from the university, along with housing assignment information. I hadn't told my parents anything yet. I waited. 2 days later, during dinner, my dad casually announced, so we looked at Alex's tuition package. It's still a little short, but once we transfer the college fund, I didn't let him finish. You mean my college fund? They froze. My mom set her fork down slowly, like she was preparing for battle. Don't be dramatic. We're doing what's best for the family. You have a full scholarship. You don't need that money. My heart was racing, but my voice was steady. It was gifted to me, not you, not Alex, me, and it's gone now. You can't touch it. For the first time in my life, I watched the color drain from their faces. My dad's jaw tightened. What do you mean gone? I looked him straight in the eyes. I moved it. Legally, permanently. You no longer have access. My mom slammed her hand on the table. You ungrateful brat. We raised you. Something inside me snapped. No, you raised Alex. I raised myself. She opened her mouth to argue, but I kept going. Every event you skipped, every achievement you ignored, every time you forced me to sacrifice my life for Alex. I didn't have parents. I had supervisors. My dad stood up, fists clenched. You will put that money back. I stood up too. Or what? You can't control me anymore. Alex walked into the room confused, looking between all of us. My mom turned to him, pointing at me like I was a criminal. Your sister just stole your future. I looked at him and said the most painful truth. No, they stole mine first. Then I walked out of the room. I went to my bedroom, locked the door, and began packing my suitcases. I wasn't waiting for permission. I wasn't asking for agreement. I was leaving. While I packed, the shouting began. My parents pounding on the door, Alex demanding answers, my dad yelling that I owed them, my mom screaming that I was selfish. And then, the threats. Fine. My dad said, if you walk out, don't ever come back. I zipped up my bag. Good. I walked downstairs with my luggage and didn't look at any of them. When I reached the door, Alex finally spoke softly. Why are you leaving? They were never going to choose you. Why didn't you just let me have it? And for a second I saw it. The golden child wasn't just favored. He was entitled. He had been raised to believe I existed to serve him. I turned to him and said, because my life matters too. Then I left. The door closed behind me, and for the first time in my life, silence felt like peace. I moved into university housing early. While other students were being dropped off by parents with balloons, hugs, and teary speeches, I carried my own boxes alone. The resident assistant asked, "Are your parents coming later?" I smiled. No, I came alone. She didn't pity me. She nodded like she understood. That first night in my bare dorm room, I sat on the floor eating cheap microwave noodles and realized something shocking. I felt lighter. I wasn't sad. I wasn't grieving. I was finally free. The semester began, and I threw myself into everything: classes, study groups, campus organizations. For the first time ever, when I achieved something, people noticed. Professors complimented my work. Students asked for my input. Friends wanted to spend time with me because I existed, not because I was convenient or useful. I got a paid internship in the university research department. I grew. I healed. Months passed. I hadn't spoken to my family. Then one morning, I received a text message from an unknown number. It was Alex. They can't pay my tuition. They expected your fund. I stared at the message for a long time. Not with guilt, not with regret, with clarity. My whole life, they made me responsible for his success. Now, they were asking me to save him again. I replied with one sentence: "It's time you learn how to stand on your own." He never replied. Later that semester, my mom emailed me, pretending to be sweet, asking if I could help the family just this once. I didn't respond. My dad tried calling, blocked. Eventually, they stopped trying to reach me. But life is not a clean-cut movie scene. Sometimes people come back when you least expect them. 2 years later, yes, 2 years. My mother showed up at my university. I found her sitting at a table in the campus cafe, waiting like a spider. She looked older, tired, frustrated. "You need to help your brother," she said without greeting. He dropped out. I didn't react. She continued, desperate. "He's lost. He has no direction. He needs guidance. He needs support. He needs parents." I corrected. "I'm not his parent." She blinked, shocked. "We did our best." "No, you did your best for him. You never did anything for me." Her lip trembled, not out of sadness, but anger that I was finally saying aloud what she spent years pretending wasn't true. "He had potential," she whispered, "and I didn't." I leaned forward. "You didn't raise a gifted child. You raised a dependent one, and you didn't lose me because of him. You lost me because you tried to erase me." She sat back, speechless. When she finally spoke, it was quiet. "So there's nothing left between us." "There could have been," I said softly. "But you chose him every time. Now I choose me." I stood up, grabbed my bag, and walked away. She didn't follow. She didn't call out my name. She just sat there, staring down at her hands like the truth finally burned her. From that day on, I moved forward without looking back. And let me tell you something. Healing felt strange at first. You think leaving will destroy you, but it doesn't. It frees you. I graduated with honors. I got job offers. I built a life that wasn't based on someone else's shadow. And the funny thing, when you remove toxic people from your life, opportunities appear like they were waiting for space to exist. Years later, I heard through my aunt that Alex still lives at home. No job, no degree, no direction. Still waiting for someone to build his future for him. Meanwhile, I travel, I work, I live, not perfectly, but proudly. Every time doubt creeps in, I remind myself of the moment I walked out that door. That was the day I chose myself. So let me leave you with this. Sometimes the family you're born into is not your destiny. Sometimes the people who claim to love you are just addicted to what you do for them. And sometimes walking away isn't betrayal. It's self-respect. If you were on my side, if you believe I did what I had to do, like this video. Subscribe if you want more stories like this, and tell me in the comments if your own parents tried to erase your future. Would you stay, or would you walk away too? I'll see you all in the next story.